Lengthened partials suck. Yeah, you heard me right. Lengthened partials suck. Alright, now that somebody's just going to clip that part and only listen to that part, we're going to talk about why I think lengthened partials suck, and the paradoxical phrase right now, and why you need to do them. They suck because, I mean, the struggle is real, bro. If you don't know what a lengthened partial is, we're going to talk about that. But let me answer why they suck. If you haven't done a lengthened partial, you should try them. When you're in that lengthened position and just doing that range of motion, picture doing a barbell squat and only coming back. You go all the way down to the hole, and you only come about halfway back up, and you go back down, back up, back down, and back up. Oh my word, your legs are going to be feeling it all, especially the quads and the glutes. They're on fire, they're burning, they don't had enough. And at that moment, you're going to go, do I re-rack this or try to finish my set? Oh my word, the misery of how it feels does really suck. In a good way. Alright, let's talk about what a lengthened partial is, why I do believe there's something to add to your arsenal of training, and really to build that hypertrophy and muscle building. Because at the end of the day, irregardless of whether you're male or female, you're wanting to build muscle. This may seem like a very nuanced conversation, but I do believe it's very useful for anyone. Because our point of improving our health should be trying to build muscle. It has been shown that muscle is super important, especially the health of the muscle is super important for quality of life and longevity. If you want to prevent falls as an older individual, you need muscle. If you want to look good, you need muscle. If you want to have strength, you need muscle. It's important. And lengthened partials are a very useful tool to building more bang for your buck muscle. But yes, they do suck. So what are lengthened partials? Lengthened partials are reps that you do of any exercise in the lengthened position only. So you're not going to do full range of motion. You're going to cut out the short range part where the muscles are only being really contracted. You're focusing on the stretch portion of the movement, where the muscles of that specific exercise are being stretched. So in my squat example, at the deep end of the squat, your quads, from at least for the three of the heads of the quads, are being stretched at the knee joint and the hip joint. And the glutes are being stretched as well from the different ends of their insertion sites, being again attaching to pretty much your butt bone, tailbone, your whatever you want to call it, your coccyx and your sacrum, and going over towards the hip and going down towards the femur. They're being stretched. So it's doing the stretched portion of the movement and cutting out the lockout position or the other half. Yes, there are lengthened biased exercises where you can, that would be like doing an inclined dumbbell curl, where you're lying down on that inclined bench and you're bicep curling, and the exercise is a lengthened biased. Even if you do full range of motion, you're getting most of the work in the lengthened position. Doing a lengthened partial is cutting out that other range of motion. So a quick example of that would be where they did a study on preacher curls, and they had people perform the various different portions of the range of motion. They had them do short range of motion, so they had them, there's a little string that they would tie across, They would come down the string, come back up, so it only came down to where their arm was at 90 and come back up and down, up, back down. And then they would train in a full range of motion, which is fully extending the elbow and coming back up to full flexion of the elbow. And then they would do lengthened partials, where they would start at the very bottom end. They would have full extension of the elbow and only come up halfway to where their arms would hit the string or whatever. And they showed that the lengthened partials, for at least beginners, gave more hypertrophy of the bicep muscles than doing either of the shortened range or full range. And then I flashed forward, there's a study that was done with like Jeff Nipper did and several other individuals. I think it was Dr. Milo Wolf did, Dr. Pack, I believe his name. They conducted with advanced lifters, and they showed that the same amount, pretty much the same amount of hypertrophy made from doing lengthened partials and full range. So regardless, lengthened partials are a very useful tool. And then the lengthened partial, for honestly any exercise you could be using as that tool. So like I said, it's going to suck because you're staying in a range of motion that's the toughest, that's the hardest portion of movement. And you're keeping that tension there, especially if you add a pause in like the bottom position. So let's take that squat, for example, and you paused at the very, very bottom in the hole of the squat and then come back up to halfway. Oh my freaking word, it sucks. Just ask one of my clients who did this on a leg press. Yeah, they suck. Well, no, it was, body weight squats, that's right, it was body weight squats, the finisher. So, let's talk about the application, the practical application of a lengthened partial to, honestly, any individual. When I'm training clients, because again, I typically train general population, normally they are like starting out and then like maybe at some point during the time that they're training with me, they become an intermediate. Majority of the clientele for any trainers are typically going to be like that, where they're beginners, intermediates, things like that. Well, sometimes advanced, but a lot less than that. Before you continue this episode, let's talk about an amazing opportunity for you. It's our 12-week fitness rehab accelerator. This is going to give you, for 3 months, an awesome opportunity to work with a trainer and a coach who's going to help you with your nutrition and your fitness goals. Help you create amazing, healthy, good habits to help improve your sleep, your diet, your exercise, and even help you start managing your stress even better. Why not take this opportunity and run with it? Don't miss out. Click the link in the description and get your journey started. So with a beginner, like I said, they've already shown that lengthened partials actually create more hypertrophy in movement than, and they have several studies for this on beginners. So it is pretty, I think it's like 4 or 5 of them that prove that it had way more benefit. When there's more than one study repeating itself, it shows that you're getting, like, it actually makes it making more information sense. So it's very useful for beginners to build that hypertrophy. So how I apply this, I use it with my clients, but I also focus on a slightly different iteration of using it, because most beginners, especially depending on the movement pattern, the exercise, it's going to probably be beneficial to do full range of motion in specific exercises, because it's going to teach good movement for general functionality, like getting up and down of a chair. So a squat, I'm going to have the individual do full range of motion. then near the end of their set, we can do lengthened partials. So if we're trying to get closer to failure, to technical failure, we're going to take however many they can do for full range, and then near the end we'll just cut it and do some partials at the end, same like leg press or something like that. As opposed to, like, say, a bicep curl, a preacher curl, like I said earlier, where there is no real benefit in the short range motion because gravity is no longer really against you, then cut the short range portion out and just do lengthened partials. So practical application for beginners is use it as an extension of their set. After they've gotten used to doing the movement, and like maybe after their first few months or whatever, or first cycle through, mesocycle through, or however you want to do it, you can do several mesocycles, then add it as one of the tools. Like, okay, we're going to further your sets by adding some lengthened partials. For intermediates and beginners, kind of very similar. Use it as a tool. It won't be a negation. It's the same big bang for your buck as it is to do full range, at least based on that one study. And even if we take the beginner studies, I'm sure we can kind of have a little bit of a carryover. And just add them to making your sets if you're trying to get hypertrophy a little bit further along, doing some lengthened partials. Would there be benefit to just applying it as lengthened partial variations of exercises? Yeah, because now I just created more variations of the same exercise that you can just plug into a mesocycle and just do that. And where this is really a practical application, really can apply to anyone. What I love about lengthened partials is that, because especially if you've been training for a while, you kind of, it's a weird, like, you kind of become psychotic in a sense, so to speak, because you fall in love with, not everyone, but the fitness fanatic does. The regular gym goer, none of my clients fall in love with this part. It's not my goal to make them fall in love with this either. But the fitness fanatic may fall in love with that feeling of, like, just the suck, pretty much. So if you kind of fall in love with that feeling of the suck of lifting, then lengthened partials is your friend. So with that being said, now you know why I said lengthened partials suck, and I got you to watch this video. So awesome, way to go. Until next time, try out some lengthened partials. Throw them into your sets, or throw them in as a variation of an exercise. And if you're trying to, like, learn how to train, they are a very useful tool to get you out of the habit of doing those shortened range of motion that do really honestly nothing, like doing calf raises with your feet flat on the floor. Till next time, y'all.